What separated your deep ball from everybody else?
My deep ball, it has a little secret sauce to it, man.
Never get too high, never get too low, but just keep moving.
The whole story is Carlos never beat me in any kind of sports in high school.
Welcome to the Orange is the New Black podcast. I'm your host, Ace Boogie, joined by my co-host, Zim. Zim, say what's up.
I'm here. I'm Zim. I'm Barrymore today because I feel like in the spirit of berries and Joes and all these other great things, orange and black, we got a football guru extraordinaire, Joe Goodberry, on with us live for lunchtime for a nice little afternoon snack. How you doing this afternoon today, Joe?
I'm doing perfect as expected, right? The Bengals are in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, how could we be anything but perfect?
Facts.
I can't complain.
Facts. Nah, can't complain at all. Definitely not. So, Joe, I'm glad that we were able to bring you back on. The last time we had you on as a surprise guest for the Civil War. The one thing I've never gotten to ask you, and I always wanted to ask you, and I usually ask everyone when they come on the show, is how did you become a Bengals fan?
You know, I really don't have a good story for it. I think I fell in love with the helmets as a real young kid. I mean, I was born in '87, so it's kind of funny. I don't know if you guys ever have this, but like if you can't remember if it's a memory you actually have, a unique memory, or something you saw on TV later. Like I used to watch a lot of NFL films, and I remember my first vision of football is the Bengals running out at Joe Robbie Stadium for the Super Bowl, and like, I definitely probably didn't see that when I was 2. If I did, there's no way I remembered it, but I probably saw it when I was like 5 or 6, watching the Super Bowls leading up to probably the Bills taking on one of their 4 Super Bowls that, you know, because I lived in that area. So I just saw the helmets and that was it. And I just stuck with it.
Nah, that's dope. I mean, honestly, a lot of people feel like the Bengals have like the best helmet in the NFL. So that makes perfect sense.
You know, like I think in my top 3 uniforms, this is, I don't know how, like I could tell we're just going to veer off of it. My top 3 uniforms, funny that we're playing the Rams. I think Rams is there. And then my other one, I like the Chargers. I like their powder blue. Is there a top 3? I know you post about uniforms and combinations all the time.
Yeah.
Give me your top 3 combinations.
I used to like the Rams before they changed. Like I like Greatest Show on Turf. The following year, like Marshall Faulk on the cover of Madden, and the gold and the blue and the white. And I remember that was just so nice at that time. I remember the Titans having nice uniforms at that time with the powder blue too. But currently, when the Bucs went back to their uniforms last year and they ended up getting to the Super Bowl, right? You change your uniforms, go to the Super Bowl. That's how it goes. And like the Bucs, to me, I think the pewter is so unique with that dark like red and the orange that goes piping through the numbers. I just think they look classic and look great. Now it's classic, right? At the time, they were pretty back in 2002 and that when they went to Super Bowl, those were pretty new at that time. Other than that, I do tend to like the more outlandish stuff or when teams incorporate just not like a GB on the side or the KC on the side, right? I don't want just a logo. I like when you do the whole helmet. And for me, that's why I like the Rams. But also the Eagles. I think the Eagles got a classic get up. The colors are unique. Plus the wings going from the front to the back like that is just awesome.
Yeah, that's fire. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I have to agree with some of those. I think for me, just to join in, I would probably say the older Chargers. I'm probably like the LaDainian Tomlinson days. Like I loved like those powder blue jerseys from then. Obviously like the Bengals. The Eagles is a good one too. And then I'd probably say there's one more that I was thinking of. The Rams is pretty fire. No, Joe said it too. The Titans with the Eddie George days.
Yeah,
those jerseys were pretty fire.
The white helmets instead of the blue for the Titans.
Yeah, facts.
No, I thought you were going to say the Washington Commanders.
Nah.
I'm gonna tell you, like I'm around here and people do not like that. I mean, that's how it is, though, right? Like when the Bengals uniforms came out first, like what was your first reaction? I know mine was pretty positive. I think Ace's was pretty positive as well. I don't remember what your instant reaction was. I know like the photos before, I was trying to be positive in it because I was like, it's not presented correctly.
Yeah. See, I seen them way before that, and I had descriptions of them like during the process. So like I painted it in my mind pretty close to what it was. And when I was getting descriptions of, it's going to look like this, going to have this, going to have that, no numbers on the shoulders, going to have 3 stripes on the shoulders. And I was doing mock-ups all the time on Twitter and putting them up there. And I was getting closer each time. Every time I put a mock-up up, people were like, all right, enough. but I was doing it because that's when you get someone who knows, say, all right, you're close, but the number here is different. Or it doesn't say Cincinnati here, it says Bengals here. I mean, so I would do it each time and refine it every time. So when it got leaked on that eBay thing, I was like, yeah, those are them right there. And I liked them. I knew they'd look better on players. Like that's what everyone said. Like, oh, let's see, it's on a hanger. We didn't want to show it like this. They look all saturated and red. They don't look right. And so I knew they'd look so much better when they came on. I dig them. I only thing I don't like though, if we can be honest, there's two things I don't like about current Bengals. The B, right? Here's the funny thing, right? You talk about the Commanders, right? Nobody likes it right now. But if they go and win something, well, now people are going to love it. The B, the Bengals got the B everywhere on all their Super Bowl stuff right now. If they win something, the B is classic. You can't throw away the B now if they win with it. And number two, the pants that they're currently wearing for the Super Bowl, the white with the orange with just the black piping on it, doesn't make sense to me, right? It doesn't go with their whole aesthetic. Like if that was just orange and black stripes on the side like they always did classic, that would make sense to me. But now if they win with it, they ain't going nowhere.
That's true. I guess, because I brought that up too, because I don't know if you saw this, like a lot of people that didn't understand how the jerseys were revealed. Last week, or it might have been a couple of days. I feel like time is like moving really funny right now. But do you remember when like they were unveiling the Super Bowl jerseys and then they put it on a hanger? Yeah. And so all these other outside like people were like, I was on YouTube one day and they were like, look at the Bengals. They still are broke. They still don't pay anybody, and they don't have enough money for a proper presentation. I was like, bro, these narratives are killing me. And so then there was a guy too. I just saw somebody, my guy Tyler, who does a lot of good stuff on TikTok. He actually did like a whole video explaining it to like all these other fans, and they were like, oh, okay. But let's take a step further. Going into this game, right? Biggest game of our lives. Uniforms, no uniforms, who cares? Whatever. We're talking, let's just start like scheme-wise or whatever you think that people maybe aren't paying attention to right now that maybe they should from the Bengals side, and maybe you could give me something from the Rams side.
Yeah, and that's why when you had those spaces the other day, I had to jump in and speak on it because I think the big picture here isn't just that national media don't know who the Bengals are. Even analysts are just finding out this week. Guys I really respect and read usually are just now doing their deep dive in who the Bengals are this week. And as you should, it's a Super Bowl, but you can tell they haven't done it this year. They haven't watched them. And it's, you'd be like, the national people are supposed to do that. It's their job. But really, they're supposed to watch 32 teams. That's why we love our local guys. That's why we like the guys who focus on this stuff, the guys like you, because they are more in depth. They know the ins and outs of the team. That's why we like that. But it's kind of funny because, as the national people go, the casual fan goes, or the people from outside that are now watching your shows or following you. Like, I don't know, you guys are probably getting a lot of hits now more than normal. It seems like this last month's been going crazy. These people don't understand the in-depth of it all. So they're getting their takes from the national narrative. And I think having one primetime game against the Jags did a lot for that and why they don't know who the Bengals are. But I also think they don't know who the Bengals are because the Bengals are whatever they need to be on that day to win the game. Like if they need to be a 3-4 defense, guess what they'll do? They'll come out that 3-4. They need to be a 4-3 or a 4-down and just rush four straight guys. They'll do that. They need to be good in the nickel. They'll do it. They need to go out there with a dime defense and let Flowers take a tight end. They'll do it. They need to, be a heavy blitz team or a zone team or a man team. They will do it, and they will switch on the fly. And it's gotten them out of a lot of games they probably should have lost this year. At least they dug themselves in a hole in the first quarter, first half, and then they switch it up. And that's the same is true for the offensive side. If they need to run the ball, would you be surprised if Mixon went off for 150 with 30 touches and 2 TDs in this game? Because that's where the Rams are kind of weak against the run, and that's how you neutralize that pass rush. If he did that, I'd be like, yeah, that's no surprise because they've done that a handful of times this year. And if that don't work and they need to throw the ball and they need Burrow to lead this team with 350 and 3 touchdowns, I wouldn't be surprised with that either. And I think that's part of the reason why so many that are just now looking at the team don't know who they are, and their analysis is so watered down and very cut off the top. It's just because I don't think it's easy to get a grip of this team. I think there's even fans that have watched this team all year that still struggle with it because the Bengals will be whatever you need them to be.
Facts. That's big facts. One thing I wanted to ask you, Joe, is obviously you have a great talent for breaking down team schemes. if you had to game plan against OBJ and Cooper Kupp, what would your strategy be against the Bengals defending them?
It's tough. I mean, the reason Kupp is the Triple Crown winner, I mean, it's not because he's the fastest or the biggest or most athletic. He ain't jumping over guys. He's good at every single thing without being a crazy athlete. And that's not to take anything away from him. I'm like, agility and acceleration wise, he's up there with anybody. But he still gets deep on defensive backs. He still gets past them. You wonder why. And it's the route running. He's probably one of the best, if not the best route runners in the league. He has great hands, but they also scheme him open constantly. Like they are, how do we get the ball to Kupp 10 times this game? Because that's how we're going to have success on offense. And it makes sense. I mean, if the Bengals are doing the same with Jamar Chase, we feel pretty good about that. So how do you take that away? It is extremely tough because they're going to find – they're already anticipating what moves the Bengals are going to do, or any team, and they're going to try and figure out how to get Kupp open and get the ball. You need to limit it on key downs, in the red zone, on third downs, and on situations where you are pulling out your card. You don't just sit there. Lou Aaron was just not going to sit there and take it. He's going to say, all right, on this third down, we're going to bring double coverage from a different spot. We're going to jam him and then bring the safety down in a robber position. We're going to let Mike Hilton man him, or we're going to do zone and we're going to bracket him. They're going to do different things, and they're going to try and hope that their rock beats scissors on the right down, right? And that's kind of how it goes. So it's hard to say what you would game plan for that, but with OBJ, it's a little bit different. Like right now, he's their outside receiver, and that's all they really got. The Rams play with like 3 slot guys usually. When it was Robert Woods, Van Jefferson, and Cooper Kupp, they're all bunching them in. They're all tight to the formation. They're all getting free releases. That's also the thing that's really gonna drive you a little bit crazy. It's like go up and jam the guy. The Rams really are not going to let you do that. They're going to get themselves in advantageous situations. But OBJ is the real lone guy that they'll put out there at the X and say, all right, go win a route one-on-one. And I think that's easier to game plan for. That's easier to say, okay, Chidobe Awuzie, if you want to follow him, or even if it ends up being Apple over there, that's fine, because I don't think they're too concerned. OBJ is still a good player, but he's not what he was 5 years ago. Like he was uncoverable at times with the Giants, right? He's still good, but if he beats you, that's okay. I don't want Kupp to end up beating you. If Kupp goes for 12 for 180 and a touchdown and you lose that game, you're going to go, damn, we couldn't do more. Why couldn't we do more to stop their best player? So I think more it's, all right, I'm going to try and man up OBJ and do our best over there, and I'm going to focus my attention on Cooper Kupp. And it's funny because I was thinking like Tyler Higbee being out, is the Bengals, have routinely struggled with the tight end. This is like the first offense they played in a long time where you don't have to worry about the tight end. And I know they got decent backups, and the guy who stepped in for Higbee was all right the other day. Right, yes, but you ain't worried about him. You know what I mean? If he beats you and has a career day, well, I guess that's what it is, right? You'll take your lumps there. So you can focus that bracket stuff that they're normally doing against tight ends into the slot with Cooper Kupp.
And see, that's what my whole focus, all week. I think a lot of people, or Rams fans, I'm gonna just say in particular, they kind of took what I was saying, and my message all week has been like Cooper Kupp is gonna get his, because we understand and we respect like how you guys run your routes, how it's gonna look at the front on the formation, how the defense is gonna get sucked in on the play action, how they scheme them open, and when you watch Cooper Kupp in any of his biggest games, like you're saying, he's like completely wide open. Yeah, and so for me, some of the best games that I think I watched like this year was I like the game that they had against the Titans, if you're looking for some good film on like how to stop Cooper Kupp. And then early in the season, although it's not vindictive of like how they're playing now, like week 4 they played the Cardinals, and the key to the game to me was them stopping Cooper Kupp on third down. And I think that's different if you talk about the Bengals in that same regard. Saying you want to stop like Jamar Chase on third down, I don't think it's the same task because of all these other guys around him. And the simple fact that you were just saying like OBJ, yes, I still respect him as a tremendous route runner, but what is the vertical? Is he going to get behind Bates? Is he going to get vertical on me? Him getting a key third down probably 2 or 3 times in this game might make me sick. But is he really going to get behind Chidobe Awuzie? Is he really going to get deep on like Eli Apple with Bates and Bell behind him? And I'm less worried about that. But I think like Cooper Kupp, like you're saying, I think if it's on some Bill Belichick stuff, it's like I 100% know I need to double team Aaron Donald on every single rep. Don't ask Trey Hopkins to do above and beyond anything. Give him help every single play. I think they need to chip on different guys, like every single one. What was that game where Uzama was chipping and then he was like leaking out?
Niners.
It happened. That was like every single one. I would like to see them
and
do
the Steelers. That was like 2 weeks in a row they did that.
I feel like I'm jumping the gun a little bit. I think this is my theory a little bit. I think that they're going to come into this game and some of the things that we've been asking them to do, kind of like what you were saying is like, you never know with the Bengals. You know, they could be multiple in all these different ways. This might be a game that maybe Chris Evans finally does line up in split backs, like with him and Mixon, and then now they don't know, am I going this way? Am I going? You know, like some of those different things. Are there some wrinkles or anything that you think that Callahan and the boys are just holding in their back pocket?
Man, that's the fun part. You get 2 weeks for the biggest game ever. You don't leave nothing out. I mean, that's how we got the classics like the Philly special a couple years ago, right? I mean, you are ready to bust something out for this game, and you hope, you know, because there's been a lot of times this year watching film where it's like, oh, Burrow took that sack, and you look back and you watch all 22, you go, oh, because the dude was running wide open down the field. He was trying to get another half second, get this ball off. Like that was the one they had schemed up all week that they were ready to unleash when it came to it, and it didn't hit. So you hope they have the time, or they have the, you know, it works out in their favor, because I'm sure they got a few things. But the one for me is that I'd really love to see, and it's if they do the RPO game and they just open that up this week, and they really haven't done it too much. They do it like once a week where they're doing RPO. That was a big thing at LSU with Joe Burrow, and the reason I do that is because when I look at you know, Aaron Donald's the focus for a lot of this game because of the advantage he should have in this game. And I went back and looked at his data because and that's a funny thing about, you know, people are like, oh, you got the data on this and that. A lot of this comes from watching them and then saying like, all right, let me go check and see if this backs this up. And he wins a lot. A lot of his pressures come on I went on PFF on true pass sets, which means it's an obvious passing situation. They're just drop back passing and throwing the ball. 21% of his pressures on drop back sets, 7% of his pressures when you're bringing in play action, screens, any kind of anything that give him any type of hesitation, right? And that's when the RPO game will come in there. So if you really want to cut his pressures into a third, you go look like the Niners games that he had to play, and they're doing play action. They're moving guys all around. They're doing RPO stuff. They're doing a lot of misdirections just to make him take one false step and then rush the passer. I mean, that's a big thing for him. So if you can bring in the RPO game, which is a run pass option for people that don't know, you're going to give the quarterback he's going to take the snap. He's going to read probably the linebacker or outside linebacker, could be the safety. He's going to put the ball in the running back's into his hip pocket. And if the linebacker moves or wherever the defender is reading moves, he can pull it out and hit that slant right behind him. And
right.
If you don't like it, you can give it to the running back. If the linebacker gets depth and gets into the hole, you just give it to the running back and run there. So I think that's a good way to balance the game, slow down the pass rush, still effectively use the running game, because I think that's a conversation too, right? How does this team just not line up in heavy formation and just try to run it down their throat? Because that hasn't worked now in about a month, I feel like, if not longer. So can you get the running game going out of different looks? And to me, that's getting them in shotgun, doing the RPO stuff, and giving Burrow, putting the ball and the decision in Burrow's hands.
Facts. One thing that you kind of talked about is watching film, and obviously you watched Burrow from last year to this year. Are there any like noticeable differences? Obviously, the deep ball is one that sticks out, but are there any other like things that people may not be paying attention to that's been different from year one to year two with Joe Burrow?
It's the basic stuff. It's the stuff I think everyone's seen. Obviously, the deep ball, that was the thing I talked about a lot as his rookie year. There was a one point he was like 0 for 12 on deep passes, and I'm like, they probably win a couple of these games if they just hit one or two of these. And then you would go back to his LSU days, and they were so good at the deep ball, and Burrow was so good at it that I was like, it's gonna change. It's gonna get back in order. And then, you know, the injury happened, so you kind of were concerned about what type of progress he could make to get back there. But even before the injury, I thought he took some bad sacks or had some situations where defenses confused him a little bit on what he was looking at, and that's normal for rookie stuff. And that's why I think the narrative this year for like year two, when he played that team that second time, it was like he's carving them up. He knows what they're doing, and you're not confusing them no more. And that's such a big thing for a quarterback and the confidence of the rest of the team. So like once you're not confusing him, now he's not taking the sacks like he was. Now he can navigate the pocket a little bit better. And as he got healthier with that knee, his pocket presence just got to the point of, I remember tweeting a few times like, This is LSU Burrow. This is the reason why we thought he could be that dude coming out of college. It's because that pocket presence is so crazy. And I think people misunderstand pocket presence as a whole because they're like, oh, how's he sacked this many times? He has good pocket presence. How did he get sacked 9 times? He has good pocket presence. That's not just avoiding sacks, which he's good at. It's navigating. It's finding a little bit of area to get the throw off. It's being able to throw off platform. Remember, Andy Dalton would get a guy right up to his knee. He'd have to lift that leg up and throw. That ball ain't coming anywhere close. It doesn't affect Joe Burrow. Burrow can go off 1 foot. He can be off no feet, and he can throw it. He can throw it behind him, back across his body. It doesn't affect his accuracy or really his velocity. And that's a lot of pocket presence and pocket management, is being able to throw from a muddy pocket. And that Burrow this year, and a lot of it's his health, but man, he went from he's taking some bad sacks to they can't touch him.
Facts.
Let me ask you this though, because all right, it's kind of like a 2-part thing. Saying that me and Ace, we were talking on the phone last night. I'm always hyping. I'm just talking Bengals all day, and I bother the hell out of him. And his family probably like, why are you on the phone with this guy again? But last night we were having a conversation, and I was talking about how I thought the difference in the game might be Matt Stafford versus the pressure. I say this every year. I feel like if we had 3 elite pass rushers, I don't even think this is like a real game, honestly. That's my opinion, but we don't. But I was saying to him that the pressure for him is different than I think the pressure for Joe. Do you see that as a matchup that the Bengals are going to feast on Stafford, or do you think that because there have been times when Hendrickson isn't effective, or Hendrickson doesn't get home, or Hendrickson might have a back spasm or something like that, and then there is no pressure? Is that a situation that you like for the Bengals, or you think that is in the favor of the Rams?
It goes both ways because the Rams are a heavy play action team, and it's hard to get pressure on play action if you're good at it. Like, it seems like when the Bengals do it, they're getting sacked, right? It's for whatever reason, they're not as crisp as the Rams are. The Rams are like perfecting the play action, them and the Niners play action concepts. So it usually get less pressure on those situations, and the Rams are going to do it, and that's when they're going to get their big plays and they're going to get their shots off. So you really got to stop the run, force them to a 3rd and 5+ where it's an obvious passing situation. And then I do like Hendrickson versus Whitworth. Whitworth's our man, but he's getting older, and I like Hendrickson. When he blacks out, it's game over for whoever he's been playing against. It didn't matter. But there are times where it's like, all right, we need pressure. It ain't happening. Where's it coming from? We're gonna have to have some guys have their best games. Sam Hubbard, he's come through in the clutch plenty of times this year. He's overachieved plenty of opportunities, and we could use that again. We'd use BJ Hill having a moment. You're right, though. Who's that 4th guy, and who's it been, and who are they going to put in there? Is Cam Sample healthy again? Even then, you're not really excited about the prospect of it right now as a rookie entering his final game of his rookie year. Still, point being is, you're right, Zim. I do wish they had 1 more pass rusher. I wish they had 2 more pass rushers, to be honest. You can never have enough. So getting Joseph Osai back, plus I'm down to take one in the 1st round if they believe the defensive tackle or even an end were there. I'm down. Let's do it. But we'll get to that. We got a whole.
I was like, have you looked at that stuff?
No,
you not even that stuff yet. I haven't. All right.
I can't name you 5 guys in this draft. I'm not ready for that. But we'll get there. We'll get ready.
Somebody sent me a mock draft sheet the other day, like with prospects and shit. I was like, "What are you like?" I'm not that crazy. Like, I know I love the Bengals.
I get upset when people start sharing mock drafts and stuff because I'm like, "Nah, we got the Super Bowl to worry about."
Right? I got no idea.
Look, me and Ace had a stretch. I swear to goodness, we would come on here like 4 weeks straight, and people in the comments were like talking about who we should draft. I'm like, bro, we're in the middle of a playoff. This is like when we're like tinkering with like like the playoff hunt. And I got over that, but that was a thing for a while. Like, people were like talking about like who we should draft like immediately, right. And I was like, what? We're like in the middle of this thing.
Before we get too far off track, one point I did want to make is Stafford's really good against the blitz, like Burrow is. Both like top 10 guys. Burrow's tremendous. He's been the best this year at it, but Stafford's really good. He's seen everything at this point in his career, right? So you can't really blitz to get that manufactured pressure unless you pick it at the right times, as we've seen. Anarumo has had a penchant for doing that in this postseason. So they're going to have to walk that line of, can our front 4 get home against the play action, and can we bring a blitz at the right time?
No, that's definitely facts. Go ahead.
Is Stafford a top 10 quarterback to you?
Probably right on the edge, maybe top 12. If someone said top 12, I'd say yeah, because then I want to argue those other guys. It's quarterback play is really good right now in the NFL. I mean, we're happy to have a top guy, there, and especially when he's on his game, you feel like you'll take him against anyone. But Stafford, when he's on his game, he's got that arm. He's willing to throw off platform. He makes some crazy throws. There's a lot of throws that he did in Detroit that we never got to see as highlights and stuff. This dude was just crazy with it. But I think the losing and the hits have taken a toll on him also. Like you said, I think the reason he struggles with pressure is because that man has some PTSD going on when that pressure starts getting to him. And he's willing to just say, my arm is strong. I'm going to chuck this thing downfield and see what happens. If Jaquizzi Tart picks that off in that last game, I don't know if you saw that. That was a punt to the middle of the field. Tart's just sitting there, bloop, right through his – I mean, that game's probably different. That probably does – we're not probably playing the Rams right now. So, I look at that like he's going to give you – 2 or 3. And that's funny because it kind of feels like the Tannehill situation. Stafford's better than Tannehill. But like the Bengals went into that game like, all right, Joe, if you got to take a sack rather than forcing this ball somewhere, do it, because we're going to win this turnover battle because Tannehill's going to give us 2 or 3 opportunities in this game. So be cool with it. And I think they could probably say the same thing in this game. Like, be cool, Joe. Don't force it. If you got to take a sack, fine. We'll kick a 55-yard field goal on a dome here. Stafford's going to give us 2 or 3 chances. We just got to capitalize.
No, that's facts as well. So one thing that everybody has talked about, and rightfully so, is the matchup between Jaylen Ramsey and Jamar Chase. Now, there's some people thinking that potentially they may put Ramsey on T. Higgins. And listening to Greg Cosell, he talked about the Rams not really having Ramsey really follow the number 1 guys. What do you think is going to be the actual strategy for the Rams based off of like your film review and just your gut instincts on the game?
Like what Zim said earlier about Cooper Kupp on third down, like, you feel like they're going to Kupp on third down. With the Bengals, it's more evened out, right? They could go to Higgins. They've done it a bunch of times. Boyd is a third down machine. And then if you leave Chase, obviously they're going to go that direction. So it's kind of like pick your poison on there, because otherwise you'd probably game plan first with third down packages. Like, all right, they love going to Jamar Chase, let's say, and we're going to get Jaylen Ramsey a man coverage on Jamar Chase, and you build out from there. You really can't rely on that this time around, because if you were to defend the Bengals, you'd say, if anything, it might be Tyler Boyd on third down. We got to watch that. But how do you really, put Ramsey doesn't go in the slot, so you're not going to do that. So you like Boyd's matchup no matter who it is this week. For me, when I look at it, you could, 2 weeks ago, like we said, teams are going to pull something out. I think you're going to see a little bit of both. You're going to see Ramsey play his side, and they're going to play a lot of cover 3, and they're going to play off. They don't press at all. So you're going to get free releases, and you're going to get a lot of underneath stuff, and Jason's going to have to be an athlete and do his thing, which that excites me. I think he'll do that. You know what I mean? So if he's covering Chase, you're still going to get your opportunities, and then hopefully Chase can burn by him on a couple. We'd love to see that. But I do think you'll see some moments where they're like, all right, because if you watch the mic'd up against the Chiefs, they were like, all right, we're doubling number 1. They're going to 85. So they're telling their guys to jump on that first break. That ball's coming out, right? If it's a slant and T hits that foot, you better jump on it. If it's a post and T hits that foot, you better jump on it. They don't got the time for double moves. They don't got the time for this and that. Like, there's no tricks, and T's still winning these balls over dudes, right? So you need T to have that type of game. But I could see, if I was game planning, or if it was the Rams, you'd say, okay, we're going to switch it up a little bit here once in a while. We're going to let Ramsey play one-on-one with Chase, and we're going to double T Higgins on this. And we're going to hope that, they're not going to be able to go to Higgins. They're not going to go to Chase and whatever. But then I could also see where they were like, all right, Ramsey, you go over on Higgins. We're going to double Chase. Because I think Chase has had a couple games this year where it's like, they're doubling them. They're paying all this attention. They're putting safeties directly over Chase. And Higgins just had to have games, right? And he did. Like, so many times he turned into Moss mode. He turned into young A.J. Green, and he was just having moments. It'll be harder to do that against Ramsey. Ramsey's that dude, obviously, for a reason. But like that, so that in my mind, that's how you would balance that out. Is to say, okay, put Ramsey over there and then double Chase. But then I think Boyd would eat, and the Bengals would adjust on that. So it's gonna be tough for the Rams to cover all 3 guys. And their other corners are okay, but like we feel better about our depth at corner than they should, right? Because they've got 2 receivers to worry about. Van Jefferson is fine, but he's not. I ain't worried about him like that. Just like they're probably worried about Chase and Higgins before they're worried about Boyd. All understandable, right? Because those guys are going to beat you deep. Boyd isn't. So, the situation is what it is. But I feel like the Bengals can take advantage. That's advantage Bengals receiver versus corner, as it should be in almost any game they play.
Right. I think one thing we were talking about in the Twitter Spaces. If you guys don't know, please follow Joe on Twitter. Please, tell him what's your Twitter name on Twitter.
It's Joe Goodberry, just how it sounds, but right now it's Joe Goodberry. So
I want to make sure, because sometimes we go in shows and I don't even ask people like, hey, like what's your Twitter handle?
Right.
So I wanted to make sure, like, for somebody that's been living under a rock that's never seen this guy, make sure you please follow him on Twitter. But we were talking on Twitter the other day, and we were on Spaces, and you brought up something I thought was very interesting, and that was bringing Jamar Chase into the slot. Mm-hmm. And I remember the Ravens game was one of the primary games where I think they did that, and it had a lot of success in that. And then as the years gone on, we even interviewed Jamar's father last night, and he was talking about like, yeah, I think that's a great idea to move him around or whatever. When you talk about their corners being average, I think the national pundits and all these other people just see Jaylen Ramsey. When I go and look at and I watch games, the condensed versions of games, and I probably watched I watched about 4 or 5 full games of the Rams this year, right? Every single game, even on Twitter, you could go look at all the Rams fans. They do not like their slot corner. And I just don't, David Long, and I don't feel like Ramsey, like you're saying, if they dare bring Ramsey to the slot, which they wouldn't do, you'd be taking away his strength on some Bill Belichick type stuff. Do you see that as like like you were saying on the Twitter Space? Do you see that as an Uno card that the Bengals could possibly pull? Like, and if they did, how much do you think you would see Jamar Chase in the slot?
Yeah, full pun intended there. That's with the Uno card, pulling that out, putting Jamar Chase number 1 in the slot. Yeah, I think over the last month, it's funny because Chase said something about that after he was getting doubled so much. I remember he was like, well, they used to move me around a little bit more. They used to put me in the slot at LSU. And, and the next thing you know, Bengals like, yeah, all right, we'll do that. It's not, I'm sure they're building towards that anyways. It takes time. Those things don't happen in a flash. But you did start to see that. That Ravens game, though, is a great example. T's just mossing guys downfield. Like the Ravens are like, we ain't letting no one beat us over the top, and they got beat over the top. But that's besides the point. They're dropping everyone in the coverage, and they turned Chase into their hot guy. The hot guy is, say you got a blitz or you're blocking 5 and you got a free rusher, right? You need somebody that's just going to turn and be wide open, and you're just going to dump them off the ball. And they turned Chase into that a lot. So Chase just turn around 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, catching this pass and going 18. Going 20, just across the field, look like the fastest guy in the field, jumping over dudes, walking out of bounds, getting hit, not getting taken down. That was the game where you're like, man, he's faster, he's stronger, he's more elusive, he's more agile, he's got great vision. This is crazy. And they started getting him screens and stuff in the Chiefs game, same thing out of the slot.
Same thing in the Chiefs game.
Yeah, and it's like that's and that 170-yarder he has, he's in the slot there. He runs it out, catches it, comes back, phew. And yes, that's how you get him away from their number 1 corner. That's how you mess up everything they're planning for on defense. And if they want to end up with Jaylen Ramsey on Higgins there, if they want to end up on a Jaylen Ramsey, and on Mixon because you're going empty, right? And you're putting the running back out wide there, and they're playing zone coverage, so they're not following. And that's an easy tell. That's one thing about the Bengals going in empty a lot is they're going to go in empty, and it'll be Higgins, Chase, and Boyd on the left, and it'll be Uzama and Mixon on the right. Now, if Jaylen Ramsey is out to the right side, it's zone. You know this, or else he would have followed. So, that's an easy tell for this offense to say, okay, what are they playing? All right, they got zone coverage. We like all of these guys over here on this left side. It's food at that point. You pick what you want to eat and go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. Joe, one thing I wanted to ask you about is we were all kind of hoping that you and your brother could do the Goodberry Bowl, which would have been the Buffalo Bills and the Bengals. Right. So what was that like? Because obviously that Chiefs and Bills game was crazy. What were you and your brother talking about when that was happening?
Yeah, because we were talking about it leading up to that Titans-Bengals game too, and he was over at the house. We're watching it together, and the kick goes through, and he's like, so much pressure now on the Bills to get this done so we can meet and have that happen. It don't happen. I mean, it happened in the late 80s, but it doesn't happen, So as that Chiefs-Bills game, obviously that was crazy, and we're sitting there 13 seconds left. We didn't even look at each other with that 13 seconds because we knew that's just still too much time for the Mahomes-Chiefs magic can go off. And when it happened, we lost our minds in a bad way, upset about it, because that would have been at that game. It would have been awesome. But it's kind of funny, the narrative, too, because they had me on local radio here after the AFC Championship game, it was before the AFC Championship game, and talking about, that upcoming game, talking about how Bills fans really kind of feeling a little bit salty because they everyone was underestimating the Bengals. Like, man, we could have had the Bengals at home in the AFC Championship game. Damn, what a missed opportunity, right? And I get it, but everyone's been underestimating the Bengals all year, right? And so now, even like I'm listening this week, I'm on my way to get the kids and listen to local radio, and they're like, and they're still, I think they're even saltier now that the Bengals beat the Chiefs, and now the Bengals are in the Super Bowl. Like, the Bills messed up, man. This is their year. They could have done it. They would have had the Bengals at home, and I'm thinking, have you guys not learned anything yet? Hey, what's worse, losing to the Chiefs with 13 seconds left or letting the Bengals come to your house in the AFC Championship game and getting beat? Tell me which one would have felt worse, because it was inevitable. It was happening. This team wasn't getting stopped. This is a team of destiny right here. You know what I mean? And it seems like every few years we get this, whether it be like the Eagles that need a lot of crazy things to happen. Well, guess what? They happen. The Ravens a few years ago, they needed a lot of crazy stuff to happen. It happened. This stuff happens, and it's not that crazy. That it's just somehow that team is just the right mixture of whatever it takes, and they do it.
Man, I'm telling you, like, even the one thing that I hated coming out of that game is everybody was like, yeah, we just saw the AFC Championship game.
Yeah,
like that got on my nerves so bad. So I don't know like what your level of trash talking is with your brother, but I probably would have been like, yeah, you guys got bailed out because we would have thrashed you like the next week. Even though I like the Chiefs matchup better than the Bills, I never went out and said that. I just thought that up front they offered more and more variety and different pressures that they could have brought. I found out in that game too. I thought their secondary was like way slower than what I thought. Right. Then with Tre'Davious White is a totally different defense as well too.
Yes, that's a number one guy.
And so when they would show me all these stats and stuff, I'm like, I mean, how much of that? Like, what week did Tre'Davious White go out? Because you follow them like
week like 8 or it was halfway
like
near
8, 9, 10, somewhere like that. So I'm like, a lot of that like is early on. They were like super shut down, but that's another story. But I guess moving forward, like in this game too, the other thing I was going to ask you too about like, what do you say to a person that says that the Bengals took 9 sacks? Because that's the take that I hear all the time, right? What would you say to a person, I guess, that says that the Bengals got sacked 9 times? Clearly, Aaron Donald, clearly Leonard Floyd, clearly Von Miller are going to wreck the Bengals offensive line. Joe Burrow got sacked so many times this year. What would you say to that person? Like, is there anything that they're missing, I guess? Or would you say, yeah, I agree that that's a huge problem and the Rams are going to win solely because of that?
Well, they're not going to win solely because of that, but that could happen. They could wreck the whole game. We're not denying that. But we've also seen this. They've run through the gamut all year of, man, they've faced probably all the best edge rushers in the league. They really haven't obviously faced an Aaron Donald because there is only one Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald may go down as the best defensive player of all time when it's all said and done. So we get it. We fully grasp how good he is. If you're a Rams fan listening, we are not underestimating the Hall of Famers of Donald and Von Miller. We get it. But we've seen this offense get pressured and sacked all year. He's been pressured more than any quarterback. He's been sacked more than any quarterback. And they still put up crazy numbers. They're still putting up 35 points. It don't, yes, it matters, but here's why people get the wrong idea, especially like the 9 sacks. 9 sacks messed up everyone's brain a little bit on how protection and sacks work. And the 9 sacks, people are like, well, quarterbacks don't normally get up after that. I'm not even thinking about that aspect of it. It's not even the physical part. Like Joe kind of needs to get hit, and then he's all right. And then he like kind of like snaps in the game mode. But like it's not about getting up. Sacks, why sacks are terrible is because number one, if it's third down, it ends your drive more than likely. Number two, if it's going to put you in the next down is going to be now 3rd and long, 2nd and long. Normally that would kill offenses, a lot of offense. We watched Andy Dalton, and all respect to Andy Dalton. No respect to Andy Dalton from Zim, but you know what I'm saying?
No. I was saying like no on those long 2nd and 3rd. I mean, I think you do that. You run into the same problem on Sunday. You get yourself in a 3rd and 15 with the Rams. Like shit, check it down, give me a screen, punt the ball. Right. Like don't play
defense show up. Yeah, but like remember when Dalton like. We talked about how pressure would affect them, but sacks, man, a sack or a holding call, you might as well punt it on the next down. It's over. And you might as well get rid of the ball because he's not going to make something happen and have to fit a ball into a tight window, create off script where things start to break down on the defensive side and find a play. Joe will do that. So getting sacked on 1st, 2nd down doesn't kill them. It doesn't stop them. It you live for another play. It's a sack, and now for this offense, the way it's built, what you got with Joe Burrow, a sack is way better than a turnover. Like before, a turnover or getting sacked and end up punting, whatever, field position, 20-yard difference. Now a sack versus a turnover, big difference because the Bengals can score on any play. It don't matter. We saw 3rd and 27. Like I think people forget that play in that Chiefs game because so many plays happen. 3rd and 27. They said, all right, 30 yards, let's go. I mean, they won the game on that play, in my opinion. So, like, that's the thing people, like, miss. It's not about toughness. It's not about peeling yourself off the turf. It's about, does that sack end your drive? And unless it's on 3rd down, it does not with this team. And that's the big difference. Like, you're going to get pressure. You're going to get sacked. We know this. Yes, Donald could have one of those games where he just, man, you can't block this dude. Like, if people don't watch the Rams and Aaron Donald, if you've been under a rock, he's the most athletic, strongest, freakish dude ever on the inside. What he does, the numbers he puts up are like guys that normally play defensive end. Like defensive end's normally 2-to-1 in terms of pressures and sacks. Donald's matching those guys from the interior, which is crazy. So the Bengals have a task at hand. They got to block him. They got to put 2 guys on him constantly. And then still you might end up with Prince blocking Von Miller, right? So you still are going to end up with issues. The Bengals got to have a good game. And Burrow's got to have one of the games where he wins despite the pressure. And he's done that a lot. Like, it's not insurmountable. Like, when people talk about it, I think from other teams' perspectives or other analysts, they're talking about it like, this if you get pressure on Tom Brady, he ain't going to go out. Yeah, he's 45 years old. He can't move out of it. He damn near retired from that game against the Rams. That might have done him in. He got sacked 4 times. Like, that's it. I can't do this. But, like, it's because he can't navigate the pocket like that. It's different when you look at a Burrow because he can move around. He can buy time. He can get out of sacks. We saw it on Chris Jones, 3rd and 7. I mean, the guy has him around the neck and then has him around the ankles. Neither one did it. First down, game's going to keep going. And you basically may have won the game off that play.
Right.
No, facts. I truly appreciated this discussion with Joe, and that just speaks to the great mind that he is, and I'm glad that we have him in Who Dey Nation. Before we get out of here, Joe, can you once again let people know where they can find your stuff? Obviously, you're big on Twitter, but is there any other stuff that you're into? Because you do have some pretty cool, dope stuff that you do with action figures and stuff like that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate all that. But yeah, the best spot is on Twitter at Joe Goodberry. The stuff I do on the other, I end up getting Bengals fans following me on Instagram and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not really posting on there. It ain't, I don't really do the football like that over there, but I appreciate it if they come out and find me and Zim showing off the hat right there.
I posted you early on Instagram and I added you and everything. So
yeah, I was like, oh no, that's it.
Here they come.
I was trying to find a way to hide out. So, because you get to some of these football guys that are like, they don't like the nerd stuff. They get a little offended by that. And I'm like, I'm trying to have my own space over there.
Man, you caught me on Twitter Spaces. You know what I'd be like? If anybody probably watched my Twitter account or whatever, I'm in like nerd spaces all day, NFT classes, all types of like nerd stuff like all day. Right. So like, contrary to belief, I definitely tweet because I understand my role about the Bengals. But believe it or not, me, Ace, and Joe are actually into other things, and we have families, and we're actually like real people as well. So I think that's really cool. But the hat and stuff, are these still available?
Man, no, they sell out so fast. You got an exclusive joint right there. They don't last, man. I got another run coming though, and I wish they would have got here before the Super Bowl because they would have been gone. But
you got to put a Lombardi right here on the side.
I know, right? If they win something, I got to come up with a unique design, something under the brim, maybe.
Ooh, facts. Ooh, I
like that.
I like that Secret Wars in the background too, Joe.
Oh, so, yep. Yeah. Black suit Spider-Man's my man. So,
yeah, but I really appreciate the conversation. I thought you coming into the Twitter Spaces the other day. I thought that was really, really dope. So if y'all ever get a chance to go on Twitter, make sure you follow all of us on there because I might do one more maybe before the week. I thought the one I did was just too exhausting. I don't think I'll do another one, but maybe I might wake up and just get crazy one day. But for the most part, I just want people to understand that there are matchables that are favorable on both sides. And people like Joe Goodberry are real fans and real analysts and real people that actually pay attention to the sport of football. And I really trust his thoughts. And maybe you don't agree with everything, but at least he's giving you a full breakdown of what he sees. And I think like more fans and more people that appreciate football should check your stuff out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ace. And also, guys, please be sure to check out Midwest Best Barbecue in Loveland, Ohio, 669 Justice Court. They got the Uno wings. Matter of fact, Jamar Chase's dad is supposed to be stopping by there today, so you never know. You might bump into him today, but definitely support them and definitely make sure that you subscribe to Zim Huday's YouTube channel, my YouTube channel at New Stripe City. And comment for sure. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And Zim, have you already announced the winners for the giveaway?
No, did you announce your? Did you
I announced 3 winners for mine, but make sure that you tune in.
Yaz is supposed to announce ours. Yeah, Yaz is supposed to announce ours. The one I had earlier. Later on today. Hey, Joe, are you going to California?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you did. You did say you're going to You got a Super Bowl party. I couldn't do that, bro. I'm telling you. Like they would hate me. The last time I watched football and people were in my house at the Bengals game, it was weird. It was when Joe hurt his leg, and I kicked, and because I live in Washington,
right.
So yeah, and I kicked everybody out.
Yeah,
like real, like you not like everybody y'all get out, but I just wasn't talking, so they was just like, all right, I'm just going to head on out.
You'd have been the loudest dude in LA though, because I mean I expect it to be a pretty subdued crowd, a very corporate crowd, very Hollywood crowd. You'd have been fit right in, but you'd have been the loudest dude because I've seen you in a couple games now. Then we usually get that spider sense going. I connect. I see you over there.
I'm gonna hold it down for you because I'm going. Me and Ace are going.
Oh, I didn't know you're going. So you're not leaving yet? What's going on?
I'm leaving on Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm leaving on Saturday too. I get there Saturday morning. So
in and out. Man, come on. Now you're.
I'm going. No, he's doing that.
Joe. You gotta come.
No, I'm going Saturday. Bro. I'm going Saturday to Tuesday. I'm going like after the game.
I'm going Sunday night, 11 o'clock Cali time. I'm leaving, so I'm going to watch the Super Bowl at like 3, and then like celebrating on the plane back. Hopefully.
If you're coming back on Tuesdays, like last year when the Bucks won, they had their parade on the Wednesday morning, right? I mean, right after. So, like, kind of people are kind of forgetting about that a little bit. The parade happens pretty quickly afterwards. I'm gonna try and shoot out for that if that happens. So just be ready.
It just sucks though, like that might happen because part of my vision, if anybody goes back on my tweets, I'm telling everybody I'm gonna be on the float. All these different things.
I don't doubt it.
I said that all before the season. I said we're going to be on Main Street on a float. I see the vision of it, and it would suck if I wasn't on the actual float. So I'm gonna try everything. I'm gonna try my hardest to try to work something out. It's gonna be tough though. I actually have to go back to work.
They don't need you.
Facts.
You won't be no good anyways. How good would you be at work? You'd be too hype. You'd be out through the roof.
Man, that Sunday night, I might just have the drunkest live Twitter spaces the world has ever seen where I could actually just air out everything I've ever wanted to say. And then I'll just go off into the sunset and y'all might see me like a week later.
Never again. Be gone.
Nah, that's facts. But Joe, once again, appreciate your times. And was there something else that you want to say before we get out of here?
I just want to say a yes.
Sirski.
Hello, world. What separated your deep ball from everybody else?
My deep ball, it has a little secret sauce to it, man.
Never get too high, never get too low, but just keep moving.
The whole story is Carlos never beat me in any kind of sports in high school.